Okay, hi to you all again. This is Carol. I wanted to share just a little more from the podcast session I did in the last class. So this is podcast Revisited, and I realized I wanted to engage you a little more and hopefully get you excited about searching for more things that you might find either because you're particularly looking for them or you stumble on them by accident. And so I'm going to go back and forth to my desktop, which when I do, you're going to get to see in a moment my wonderful new passport picture, which I'll hopefully get to use after I've renewed my passport. And then I'm going to take you to my desktop and start you going through the examples I want to show you. So here we go. All righty. And we are here. Okay, so I was thinking about the ways that you can get to a podcast. And of course, last time we looked quite a bit at players. You know, you can pick a player of choice. You can go in and look at topics. You can find, you can, see things that tweak your interest. You can search for a particular podcast, either by a particular person or a particular title. But I wanted to back up a step so that if you didn't feel like dealing with players, you could actually find more and start, right off your computer or right off your phone or iPad screen with a simple Google search. So I want to, first of all, so I started thinking about what kinds of things could you find? And I initially went looking for murder mysteries because I thought, well, after Huey's presentation by Audible, where we were talking about listening to books, which you might have to pay for to listen to, that if you just like hearing people read things, you might want to listen to other books or other things that are being narrated that wouldn't cost you anything, and you'd have them on a player wherever you want them. So I went looking for murder mysteries, and initially it brought up a bunch of different kinds of murder mysteries, and it gave me things that said the 10 best murder mysteries and things like that, a lot of which were true crime kinds of things. And one site had shown me books that you could, mystery books you could hear being read, one of which was by Jane Eyre. Well, I couldn't find it when I tried to do this the last time. And so I thought, well, I'll just put Jane Eyre in there. So I did. Here's Jane Eyre in the search. You can see that it brings up BBC, and then it brings up French culture and other ways of being able just to get in to find out about Jane Eyre. But this fact that I was suddenly getting connected to BBC Radio kind of tweaked my interest. It's like, well, I wonder what's on there. So here's what's on there. And so this is the Jane Eyre series that's part of their programs and part of their series called In Our Time. So let's just click there. And so first of all, you can see that you can listen to the reading or group discussion or guest discussion of different things related to Jane Eyre. That's interesting enough, but then I started noticing the other things that are up here. And so I started scrolling down and I realized, oh, there's this thing called In Our Time. I wonder what that is. And other ideas and podcasts. So I went down here to the podcast section, which was the same as the one that was at the top, and opened it in a new tab. And voila, look what I found. So here is one of many series. This one's called You're Dead to Me, talking about history. And I thought, well, now that's a pretty interesting thing. And then all kinds of others, a history of chocolate and 10 quick facts. So this is a slice of history looking at all kinds of things. So I figured that the chances were there were probably people who had interest in that kind and some of those kinds of things. Let's see what else we get here. And so I don't know if this is going to give me podcasts or not. But anyway, this is what happens when you start sleuthing around and just following your mouse and seeing what shows up for you. So there you go. And here's some more interesting things. So anybody that loves the BBC, and I happen to, so like the next episode, Stories That Matter, Too Rude for Radio, and let's see. Girl Taken, which looks like it may be a book. Music Life, where music stars discuss how they make their music. So anyhow, you get the point. So if any of that tweaks your interest, feel free to come back and sleuth along and see whatever you find. And so one of the other things that I did was I went searching for On Being, which is another one of my favorite shows. And I'm going to go back. And let me go back again. And so what came up was the On Being Project, and then under it, a list of their radios and podcasts, and then something that you'll see with many of the searches for podcasts is the opportunity to actually listen to some of the latest of the podcasts and play them right here. And if you click one of them, it takes you to the Google Podcast Player, which we didn't talk about, but it's on all Google playing devices and lets you stay within Google and listen. So, that's a pretty easy way to get it up pretty quickly. And so you can click here and play. This is the last one that I was listening to down below, and you can click play again and continue to get it to play. So I'm going to go back again and show you what comes up here. And so this is part of why I like On Being, because I find them to be very interesting conversations. I think Krista Tippett is an extraordinary interviewer. So that's how I start my Sunday mornings. And but this was a new discovery for me. So I'd forgotten that the On Being Project had other things associated with it. And when I scrolled down, in addition to finding Krista Tippett, I found these other things, two of which looked really interesting to me, this Becoming Wise piece and the Living the Questions piece. And I actually went to Living the Questions and listened to a couple of those. So that's the next thing I wanted to show you. And let me see if there was anything else now that I want up here. Science podcasts. So another thing that I did was I went and searched science. And this is what came up. And so here, with this search, you're seeing some of the the most, probably the most highly searched and selected, or maybe the ones that paid the most, we don't know. Different podcasts, Radio Lab, which is an NPR one that I like a lot, and various other ones that you can certainly check out and see what you think about if you have science interests. Now, science, as you can see, is very, very broad. And so, it can be research, it can be health, it can be astronomy, it can be biology, it can be freaky facts, it can be all sorts of things. And if you come down here, you see here's Science Magazine's podcasts. And here are some of the podcasts that they have. And again, if you click here, you're going to get the Google Player and you can listen to them immediately. And then you can see here, if you click this, you're going to get a bunch of other ones, and you can keep doing that and seeing, picking whatever ones you want. Here is Popular Science's set of listings. And like with many of these sets of listings, they're going to give you either a curated list of the 10 best or their favorites or ones that, they think you'll like. Here, down here, 6 science podcasts you need to be listening to right now. But let's go to best science. And this takes you to the Popular Science site. And if you go down, you can see that, they're going to give you a little description about each of the kind of podcasts that they have and an opportunity to listen to them. There are a wide range of things, one of which is with this flash forward. It gives you an opportunity to think into the future, what would happen if, like what would happen if antibiotics stopped working? What if the internet disappeared? And they bring together experts who then discuss what that might be like. And you can look at the weirdest thing that that happened this last week. You can get curious about different things. You've got tech-related news. You've got Science Friday, which often has some very interesting pieces. So there you go. And again, depending on what you happen to select, it may take you to the site on your browser. It may to their website. It may take you to a list of different players that can play the same podcast, and you can pick and choose which one you want and go to the player of your choice. So those are, a few samples of things that I hope will whet your appetite a little more. Oh, one more. I did one on cats, which I may have gotten rid of now. Let's see. All right, well, let's do it again. So I Googled cats because I am a cat lover. Actually, I did cat podcasts last time. And you can see just doing cats, you get a lot of other choices. So cat podcasts. And here's a bunch of different kinds. And then if you go down, once again, you get these top 10. You get samples that you can listen to. Various versions of what they think is the best. But, I was surprised at how much interesting stuff there. Let's go to Catitude and see what they say. Yeah, it didn't open. All right, it brought up some of the actual Catitude ones themselves. And part of what was interesting, I was hoping that was gonna, yeah, there we go, take me to their site. And so over here, it tells you, you know, what the individual episode is about. And this particular one about seniors talks about how to detect signs that your cat is aging and what you can do about it. So, you know, there are a lot of interesting shows here that for cat lovers might appeal. And you can see you've got the different podcast options that you can use to listen using your particular players. So there we go. And I wanted to say one more thing, which was an answer to Irving's question about iPad 2s. I happen to have an iPad 2 also, and I was really expecting to be able to download from the App Store any of the players that I was hoping to listen to on that iPad. No. So because it's only iOS 9.3, it won't run any of the players. That's the bad news. The good news is you can go to either Safari or to the browser of your choice, Chrome or whatever that you can get on your iPad 2, and you can do what we've just done here, which is to search and listen, or you can actually go to iHeartRadio or Stitcher or a number of the others that have web access to their players. So you can then, even though you're not playing from the player directly, you can still make your playlists. You can still listen to whatever you want out of your player of choice. So there you have it. That's all I have to say on this little clip. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, you can post them in the YouTube posting, or you can drop me an email at callingtocarol@gmail.com. That's calling, CALLING, the number 2, CAROL, @gmail.com. Look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.